Have you ever wondered about the nasty things that Hollywood stars had to endure due to powerful and manipulative studios? We're going to expose all of them. Here are the 50 terrible things done to classic Hollywood stars. Marilyn Monroe. In the 1920s, Hollywood started using plastic surgery, which wasn't common anywhere else. They put a lot of pressure on actors to look a certain way. Marilyn Monroe, who was originally named Norma Jean Mortensen, had curly brown hair when she first went to Hollywood, but her agency head, Emmeline Snively, told her she needed to bleach and straighten her hair to become a big star. Snively said Marilyn's face was too round for Hollywood standards, so Marilyn did what she was told, and her blonde bombshell look became famous. This shows how Hollywood could be really demanding about how actors looked, and they often had to change their appearance to fit in. Even though it might seem harsh, Marilyn's decision to change her hair helped her become one of the most famous actresses of all time. Tippi Hedren. When Tippi Hedren was filming the famous scene where birds attack her in the movie The Birds, it was really tough for her. She said it was brutal, ugly, and just wouldn't stop. Even though it was hard for her, the crew watching felt even worse. They couldn't do anything to make it better. Tippi felt pressured to keep working even though she needed a break. Finally, she only got a week off because a doctor basically made the director, Hitchcock, let her rest. So filming that scene was really hard for Tippi, and even though everyone saw how tough it was, they couldn't do much to help. Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner had an abortion after getting pregnant by Frank Sinatra, as otherwise her career would be ruined. At that time, the movie studio MGM had rules that if their stars had babies, they would face penalties like getting paid less. Ava was worried about her income because her movies required her to travel a lot, and Frank was having financial problems. So she decided to have an abortion to protect her career and financial stability. It was a tough choice for her, but she felt it was necessary because of the rules and her career demands. Hattie McDaniel. Hattie McDaniel was a black actress who made history in 1940 by winning an Oscar, which was a big deal because she was the first black person to win one. But before the ceremony, there was a worry she might not even be allowed to go because of racism. She faced a lot of prejudice and was even made to sit separately from her white co-stars. Despite all this, she showed great courage and gave a powerful speech when she won. But her journey, like that of many others, was really hard because of the racism in Hollywood. It's an example of how far we've come in terms of diversity in the industry, but also a reminder that there's still work to be done. Margaret Hamilton in The Wizard of Oz. Margaret Hamilton played the Wicked Witch of the West and wore green face paint. But this paint was toxic because it contained copper. So she couldn't eat while wearing it to avoid accidentally swallowing any. Instead, she had to stick to drinking liquids through a straw. Every night, the makeup artist made sure her face was super clean because they didn't want any paint left on her skin. It was risky to wear this paint, but Margaret did it for the movie. So while she was acting as the witch, she had to stick to a liquid-only diet on set to stay safe. Jackie Coogan. Jackie Coogan, who played in The Addams Family, had a tough time as a child actor. His parents took all his money, so a law had to be made to protect kids like him. In Hollywood, directors sometimes did mean things to make kids cry on camera, and they even punished them for wasting time. Also, they made kids work really long hours, which is not allowed today. So being a child actor back then was hard because they didn't have many protections, and some people were really mean to them. Merle Oberon. Merle Oberon was a very talented and beautiful actress, but her movie studio controlled a lot about her, like her image and background. She was actually born in India, and she was mixed race, but she kept that a secret. She didn't talk about it because she was scared of racism in Hollywood. People didn't know the truth about her until after she died. It was revealed then that she was hiding her real background because of the racism she faced. So even though she was successful in Hollywood, she had to hide who she really was because of the racism in the industry. Judy Garland. Judy Garland, famous for The Wizard of Oz, had a really tough time in Hollywood. She only got 1 day off each week and had to work super long hours the other 6 days. Sometimes she'd sing and dance for 18 hours straight. To keep up, the studio gave her drugs called amphetamines to boost her energy. At night, they gave her sleeping pills so she could rest. But when she tried to get help or therapy, it cost her money because filming would be delayed. She ended up owing the studio a lot of money, over $100,000. Sadly, she died from taking too many drugs when she was 47. It's a tragic story of how the pressures of Hollywood and the studio system can really harm someone's life. Debbie Reynolds. During the making of Singing in the Rain, Gene Kelly was really tough on Debbie Reynolds, criticizing her dancing so much that she ended up crying under a piano. He also kissed her forcefully during a scene, making her feel really uncomfortable and grossed out. Debbie was young and innocent at the time, so it was a big shock to her. She wrote about feeling like it was an attack in her book. This happened in the 1950s when things were different, and people didn't talk about things like this as much. It's an example of how some people in power can mistreat others, especially young people in the movie industry. Even though Gene Kelly was a famous actor, it doesn't excuse his behavior towards Debbie Reynolds, Clark Gable, Marilyn Monroe, and Montgomery Clift. The making of The Misfits became famous because of the tragedies that happened to its three main stars. Clark Gable, who played one of the lead roles, had a heart attack and died shortly after they finished filming. Marilyn Monroe, another lead, had a rough time too. Her marriage fell apart, and she died from an overdose a year later. Montgomery Clift, the third lead, didn't die until later. But he refused to watch the movie again just before he died of a heart attack. It's sad that all three of them faced such difficulties both during and after making the movie. Their stories remind us that even famous and successful people can have hard times and face tragic endings. Peg Entwistle. Peg Entwistle was a young actress who had success on Broadway. She went to Los Angeles to pursue her acting career and got a role in a movie called 13 Women. Unfortunately, that was her only role. Sadly, Peg is mostly remembered for how she died. She passed away by jumping off the H in the Hollywood sign. Later, a hiker found her belongings near the sign, including a note in her purse. The hiker saw her body down the mountain and left her things at the Hollywood police station. It's a tragic story of a promising young actress who struggled with her career and ended her life in a very public and sad way. Shirley Temple. Shirley Temple revealed a disturbing punishment for child actors of her time in her autobiography, Child Star. Temple recalled that child actors were made to sit on a block of ice when they misbehaved, nicknaming the punishment the black box. Temple herself got sent to this punishment box a few times, but she said it didn't really mess her up in the long run. The people running the movie sets were super focused on getting things done quickly and not wasting time. This meant Shirley sometimes had to keep working even when she was hurt. Once, she had a bad ear operation but was back filming the next day. So being a child actor back then was tough, with strict rules and little consideration for the kids' well-being. Olivia de Havilland. Olivia de Havilland became famous for her role in Gone with the Wind. But she didn't like the roles she was given after that, so she started saying no to the parts Warner Brothers offered her. This made the studio bosses angry, and they made sure she couldn't find work in Hollywood. They told other studios not to hire her because they thought she was difficult. Lucille Lesure. Lucille Lesure was told to change her name by a big shot at MGM because they didn't like her original name. So she became Joan Crawford, but she actually didn't like that name at all. She thought it sounded like a crawfish, not like a glamorous actress. Even as she became famous, she still didn't like it. Archibald Alexander Leach became Cary Grant because Paramount Studios thought his real name was too long. Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood, a famous actress, had a tough life. Her mother, who pushed her to be an actress, abused her and scared her about drowning. A psychic once told her mom she'd die in water, so she made Natalie really afraid of it. Natalie was so scared that she wouldn't even swim in her own pool. When she was 43, she was found dead in the water. At first, they thought it was an accident, but later, they said she drowned. But it's still not clear how it happened. John Gilbert and Louis B. Mayer. Louis B. Mayer was a big shot in Hollywood and co-founded MGM Studios. He was good at finding talented actors and making MGM successful. But Mayer could also be really mean. When movies started having sound instead of just being silent, Mayer wanted to get rid of actor John Gilbert because he was expensive, and they didn't get along. Mayer spread rumors that Gilbert's voice was bad and caused problems on set. He also put Gilbert in movies that he knew would fail. After getting bad reviews in press, Gilbert left MGM in 1933. Greta Garbo. When Greta Garbo came to Hollywood in the 1920s, she was told that American audiences didn't like fat women. Shocked by this, she decided to eat only spinach for a while to stay thin. Back then, actresses like Marilyn Monroe also felt a lot of pressure to stay thin. Marilyn even did weightlifting, which wasn't common for actresses at the time. She said she exercised with dumbbells for at least 10 minutes every morning. Female stars in those days felt they had to be thin no matter what. They faced a lot of pressure to look a certain way, even if it meant going to extreme lengths, like strict diets and intense workouts. Mickey Rooney. In 1942, when Mickey Rooney wanted to marry Ava Gardner, the head of MGM, Louis B. Mayer said no, he just forbid it, even though Rooney wanted to have a private wedding. Jean Harlow couldn't marry William Powell because of a clause in her contract. It was even harder for actors who were gay. Movie studios made them get married to someone of the opposite sex to hide their true identities from the public. Loretta Young. Loretta Young, a famous actress and devoted Catholic, fell in love with Clark Gable while they were filming a movie. They had a relationship, and she got pregnant, even though Gable was already married. To hide the pregnancy and avoid scandal, Young pretended to be sick and secretly had the baby. She then said she adopted the baby, Judy, as a single mother. This way, she avoided the stigma of having a child out of wedlock. Young kept the truth hidden for a long time, but later in life, she admitted what really happened. Rock Hudson. Rock Hudson, a famous actor known for his good looks, was gay, but the studio forced him to marry a woman named Phyllis Gates to hide his sexuality. Hudson was a big star, and the studio didn't want people to know he was gay because it might ruin his career. The marriage didn't last long, and after they divorced, Hudson publicly revealed that he was gay. Sadly, he was one of the first well-known celebrities to die from AIDS in 1985. This story shows how Hollywood used to treat LGBTQ+ people. They often forced them to hide their true selves to keep their careers. Jean Harlow. Jean Harlow, a famous actress known for her beauty, signed a contract with MGM that said she couldn't get married. The studio thought she would be more appealing to audiences if she stayed single. Despite this, she became pregnant from an affair. To hide the pregnancy, she checked into a hospital under the fake name Mrs. Jean Carpenter to get some rest. The hospital made sure she only saw private doctors to keep it secret. Ava Gardner. When Ava Gardner signed with MGM, they made her take acting and vocal classes because they didn't think she was good enough. In her first screen test, someone said she couldn't act, but she looked amazing. They wanted her to sound more sophisticated and lose her southern accent. Ava wasn't the only one who had to take classes, and she wasn't the only one criticized harshly on screen. This shows that Hollywood could be tough on actors, even famous ones like Ava Gardner. They wanted their stars to be perfect, so they made them take classes and criticize them openly. Having to choose between your career and motherhood, that's a terrible choice no actress should have to make. But in old Hollywood, studios held all the power, and they weren't afraid to use it. Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge was a beautiful actress, often compared to Marilyn Monroe. She became famous for her role in the movie Carmen Jones. She had a romantic relationship with the director, Otto Preminger, which led to her getting pregnant. Preminger didn't want to leave his wife to marry Dandridge, so the studio pressured her to have an abortion. They didn't want her to lose her image as a sexy actress, and they also worried about the interracial aspect of their relationship, because it was illegal in some states. Dandridge faced a lot of pressure from the studio to do what they wanted, even if it went against her own wishes. Clara Bow. Clara Bow was the first it girl, famous for her beauty and sex appeal in silent movies. Stories of her wild sex life, including rumors of threesomes and affairs, spread like wildfire. Despite her scandalous reputation, Bow was a hard worker and starred in many films. However, Hollywood didn't like the bad publicity she brought, and after a nervous breakdown, she was fired by Paramount at the young age of 28. Bao made her last movie then. She later married and had children, but her family had a history of mental illness, and Bao struggled with her own mental health. Her mother even attempted to harm her in the past. In 1944, Bao tried to take her own life and ended up in a psychiatric hospital. By the way, if you are enjoying this video and want to watch more videos like this, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Lana Turner. Lana Turner was a famous actress known for her beauty and curves. She started acting when she was just 17, and one of her early movies, Love Finds Andy Hardy, made her a star. She was nicknamed the Sweater Girl because she looked great in sweaters. But Turner's personal life was full of drama. She was married 8 times, which was a lot even for Hollywood standards. In 1941, when she was on a publicity tour in Hawaii, a studio fixer arranged for her to have an abortion. The procedure was done in her hotel room without anesthesia, and her mother had to cover her mouth to muffle her cries. The studio doctor performed the abortion, and they charged Turner $1,500 for it. Even worse, they deducted the cost from her paycheck. Bette Davis, a famous actress, had to make a tough decision in 1934 when she got pregnant. She knew that having the baby could ruin her career, so she chose to have an abortion. Davis admitted later that if she hadn't done that, she might have missed out on a big movie role. And she was right. She got a major part in the movie of Human Bondage that same year, which led to her first Oscar nomination. She went on to receive a total of 11 Oscar nominations and won twice. Vincent Minnelli. Vincent Minnelli, a famous director, married Judy Garland in 1945 after working together on a successful movie. Garland was young, and it was her second marriage. Minnelli had lived an openly gay life in New York, but in Hollywood, he felt pressured to hide his same-sex relationships because of the studio. Eventually, Garland found Minnelli in bed with another man, and they divorced in 1951. Despite Minnelli's sexuality, he remarried 3 more times after Garland. William Desmond Taylor. William Desmond Taylor was a famous director during the silent film era, but in 1922, he was found murdered in his home, which caused a huge scandal in Hollywood. Taylor was shot, but there were no signs of a robbery. Cash was found on him and in his house, so robbery didn't seem like the motive. When police arrived, they found studio bosses burning Taylor's papers, which raised suspicion. Many rumors circulated about Taylor and actress Mabel Normand, who was with him that evening. People speculated about drug dealing, strange sexual behavior, and even sadinism. Barbara Lamar. Barbara Lamar was a famous actress in silent films, known for her beauty and talent. Despite her success on screen, her personal life was troubled. She was married multiple times and kept secrets, like her son, hidden from the public. Lamar also struggled with insomnia, claiming to sleep only 2 hours a night, which may have been worsened by rumored drug use or strange diets. As her popularity declined, Lamar continued to work hard, even though she was battling a serious lung condition. She desperately tried to regain her fame, but one day she collapsed on set. Sadly, she passed away a few months later, at just 29 years old. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin was a famous actor during the silent film era, loved for his tramp character. He became very rich and successful, even owning his own studio. But his personal life was complicated. He married multiple times and had problems with paternity suits. He even paid a doctor to lie on his child's birth certificate. Chaplin also had relationships with young women, which caused controversy. In 1947, he was accused of being a communist by a government committee, and his fame started to decline. When he went to London, his permission to return to the U.S. was taken away. Chaplin didn't want to face questions about his politics and personal life, so he moved to Switzerland instead. Chaplin's downfall is a sad one. But buckle up, old Hollywood gets wilder next. We have a young actress's mysterious death, a jealous media mogul, and a possible celebrity murder cover-up on a yacht. Olive Thomas was a young actress who started her career as a model and dancer. She married actor Jack Pickford in 1916, and they seemed to live a glamorous life, despite spending time apart due to their work schedules. In 1920, they decided to rekindle their relationship with a second honeymoon in Paris. The couple enjoyed their time together, frequently partying at nightclubs and living the high life. However, one fateful night, after returning to their hotel at the Ritz, tragedy struck. Olive accidentally consumed a bottle of mercury bichloride, a medication intended for Jack's syphilis treatment. The substance was highly toxic, and as soon as Olive realized her mistake, she called out for help. Despite the immediate efforts of doctors, she succumbed to the poisoning and tragically passed away shortly afterward at just 25 years old. To this day, it remains unclear whether her death was a tragic accident or something more intentional, adding a layer of mystery to her untimely demise. Thomas Ince. Thomas Ince was a big shot in early Hollywood. He started the first movie studio and helped create Paramount Pictures. But by 1924, he was having money troubles and talked with a rich guy named William Randolph Hearst about a deal. On November 16th, Ince went on Hearst's yacht to celebrate his birthday. Also present were Charlie Chaplin and Hearst's girlfriend, Marion Davies. Rumors swirled that Chaplin and Davies were having an affair, and Hearst was furious about it. What happened next remains a mystery. Ince fell seriously ill on the yacht and was rushed to the hospital, where he died a few days later. Hearst's staff cremated Ince's body quickly, which made investigations difficult. The official cause of death was listed as heart failure, but many suspected foul play. Some speculated that Ince had been poisoned or shot by mistake, with theories suggesting Hearst might have been trying to shoot Chaplin instead. The true circumstances surrounding Ince's death remain one of Hollywood's biggest unsolved mysteries. Jewel Carmen. Jewel Carmen was an actress at Keystone Studios who faced a series of challenges throughout her life. She had a contentious battle with Fox Film Corporation over her contract, which kept her off screen for 3 years and harmed her career. She married director Roland West in 1918, but their marriage was troubled, and the couple separated during the 1920s. Later, West became romantically involved with actress Thelma Todd, who lived near Carmen. In 1935, Todd was found dead in her garage from carbon monoxide poisoning, sparking widespread speculation. Carmen testified that she saw Todd with a man who seemed suspicious on the night of her death, but her claims were dismissed, and no one was charged. Following the scandal, Carmen's career never recovered, and she faded into obscurity, dying in 1984 without much attention or recognition. Rudolph Valentino. Rudolph Valentino, famously dubbed the Latin Lover, started his career as a dancer, performing for wealthy women. However, his early career ended in scandal, including a court case, imprisonment, and even a murder accusation. Moving to California, he changed his name and transitioned to acting. In 1921, Valentino starred in The Sheik, which cemented his reputation as a heartthrob. But his personal life was riddled with drama. Valentino married his second wife without divorcing his first, resulting in charges of bigamy. He also faced constant rumors about his sexuality, which he vehemently denied. When a journalist insulted him with the headline, "Pink Powder Puff," Valentino challenged the writer to a boxing match, though the writer declined. Shortly after, Valentino fell ill with a ruptured appendix and a lung infection. On his deathbed, he reportedly asked if he was still considered a pink powder puff. Valentino died at the age of 31 on August 23, 1926, leaving behind a legacy as one of the most iconic actors of his time. Alma Rubens. Alma Rubens was a celebrated actress known for her beauty and talent, but her life was overshadowed by addiction. She became dependent on morphine and cocaine, which severely impacted her career. Despite earning significant money from her films, she squandered much of it on drugs. She lost a major role to Greta Garbo due to her addiction, faced legal troubles, and spent time in mental institutions in attempts to recover. In 1931, Rubens wrote Gloria Swanson. Gloria Swanson was not only an actress, but also a businesswoman who founded her own production company. While filming in France in 1925, Swanson fell in love with the French Marquis and became pregnant, despite still being married to her second husband. Swanson feared that news of the pregnancy would violate the morality clause in her contract and destroy her career. She decided to terminate the pregnancy, a procedure that nearly cost her life. Swanson kept this incident a secret for decades, reflecting the extreme pressures placed on actresses to maintain their image. Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle. Roscoe Arbuckle, a comedic icon, saw his career destroyed after being falsely accused of causing the death of actress Virginia Rappe during a party. The press portrayed him as a monstrous figure, capitalizing on his size to sensationalize the story. Medical evidence later showed that Rappe had died of peritonitis, unrelated to Arbuckle's actions. Arbuckle faced 3 trials before being acquitted, but the damage to his reputation was irreparable. Once a beloved star, Arbuckle's career was effectively overdue to the scandal. Sondra Locke. Sondra Locke, an Oscar-nominated actress and director, became romantically involved with Clint Eastwood in the 1970s. Their relationship ended in a contentious breakup in the mid-1980s. Locke accused Eastwood of sabotaging her career, alleging that he used his influence to block her projects at Warner Bros. Despite promising her a development deal as part of their separation agreement. Locke sued Eastwood, and they eventually settled out of court. Her experience highlighted the challenges women often faced in male-dominated Hollywood. Rose McGowan. Rose McGowan was a successful actress known for her roles in films like Scream and the TV series Charmed. In 1997, she was sexually assaulted by producer Harvey Weinstein, who paid her $100,000 to remain silent. McGowan refused to stay quiet, speaking out about the abuse within the industry. As a result, she was blacklisted from major roles for nearly 2 decades. Her courage to come forward later became a significant part of the #MeToo movement, helping to expose systemic abuse in Hollywood. Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen, a well-known actor from films like Platoon and the TV show 2.5 Men, experienced a highly publicized downfall during the show's 8th season. Struggles with drug and alcohol addiction, combined with erratic behavior, led to conflicts with producers and his eventual firing. Sheen's bizarre public interviews and self-proclaimed winning mentality made headlines, but his career never fully recovered. Controversial remarks and allegations against him further tarnished his reputation in the years that followed. William Haynes. William Haynes was a popular actor in the 1920s and 1930s who openly lived with his male partner despite immense pressure from the studio system to conform. MGM's Louis B. Mayer gave Haynes an ultimatum to marry a woman or give up his career. Haynes chose his partner and left Hollywood. He went on to become a successful interior designer, demonstrating his commitment to authenticity over fame. Kim Novak. Kim Novak, a renowned actress, faced intense scrutiny when she began a relationship with Sammy Davis Jr., a black entertainer. The head of Columbia Pictures, Harry Cohn, allegedly used mob connections to threaten Davis, forcing him to end the relationship. Novak's personal life became another example of the systemic racism and control exerted by Hollywood studios. Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth, born Margarita Carmen Cancino, underwent drastic changes to fit Hollywood's beauty standards. Columbia Pictures dyed her hair red, changed her name, and subjected her to painful electrolysis to raise her hairline, which was considered too ethnic. These transformations helped her become the iconic love goddess, but came at a significant personal cost. Lena Horne. Lena Horne was the first African-American actress to sign a long-term contract with a major studio, MGM, in 1942. Despite this groundbreaking achievement, Horne was often sidelined. Her scenes were designed to be easily cut from films shown in the racially segregated South, and she was passed over for major roles, such as the lead in Showboat, which went to Ava Gardner instead. Kathy Lee Gifford. At the age of 21, Kathy Lee Gifford was subjected to sexual misconduct by a producer who masturbated in her presence. Although she managed to escape unharmed, she later spoke out about the experience to highlight the dangers women faced in the entertainment industry. Lysette Anthony. British actress Lysette Anthony accused Harvey Weinstein of raping her in the 1980s. Anthony's account was one of many that contributed to the revelations about Weinstein's predatory behavior, which eventually led to his conviction. Lisa Rinna. Lisa Rinna, known for her candid personality, revealed an encounter with the infamous Hollywood casting couch. In her novel, she described how a producer demanded sexual favors in exchange for a role, which she refused. Her experience sheds light on the exploitation faced by aspiring actresses. Mario Lanza. Mario Lanza, a celebrated tenor and actor, struggled with the pressure to maintain a specific weight, which led to crash dieting and health problems. These issues forced him to cancel performances, affecting his career. Michelle Hurd. Michelle Hurd, an actress from The Cosby Show, shared unsettling experiences with Bill Cosby, including inappropriate advances under the guise of acting exercise. Hurd's account highlights the abuse of power prevalent in the industry. Maria Schneider. Maria Schneider, the star of Last Tango in Paris, revealed that the film's infamous intimate scene involving butter was added without her consent. At just 19 years old, Schneider felt humiliated and exploited, exposing the abusive dynamics of power in the film industry. Which shocking facts surprise you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below.